Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to my podcast, Rewire to Inspire. I am your host, Jessie Brown, and I am very, very excited to be jumping on the microphone with you all for episode number 169. My voice is finally back. I am so excited to be recording regular podcast episodes, feeling good. I feel like whatever bug or flu or whatever it was that I had last week just seemed to linger for way too long. And it seems like now everybody else that I'm talking to is kind of dealing with the same thing. So definitely make sure that you're looking after yourself, moving your body, nourishing your body, drinking lots of water, and just being mindful of your mental health as well. But it is definitely the season. I feel like I always get some kind of a little sniffle as the seasons transition. But nonetheless, just honor and reminder to take care of your body. I am recording today's episode. I can hear the rain outside. I'm wearing my fall colors if you are watching on video right now. And I'm just in a very grateful space today. And so I hope that through today's episode, I can just pass some of that gratitude on to you. If when you're listening to today's episode, maybe you're having a bit of a harder day, if this is the start to your day, good morning, like whatever it is that you need to do today to make the intention that it's going to be a great day. Or wherever you're at right now, pause and just ask yourself, what do I need to pivot and make this day turn around if maybe it's just been a little bit harder? So just a quick check-in for you guys. If you missed my last episode, number 168, I shared with you guys one easy way to boost your confidence. I absolutely love the concept of that episode because it's something that I never realized was a tool that I could utilize to boost my confidence. And so I definitely encourage you to check out that episode if you haven't already and see how you can implement some of the things that I shared in that episode. Today's topic it's different, but in a lot of ways it is kind of similar. And today we're going to be talking about how do you respond when you're outside of your comfort zone. I want you to just take a minute to self-assess for yourself of what is your initial thoughts around, how do I respond when I'm outside my comfort zone? What does that mean for me? Because when you're outside your comfort zone versus when I'm outside my comfort zone, that's going to look completely different. For some of you, jumping on the microphone and doing this would be completely an overwhelming state. And right off the hop, I want to identify our learning zone, our comfort zone, and our anxiety zone. So when we are in our comfort zone, that is when whatever it is that we're doing, we have reps in. We've done it before. We're comfortable doing it. We don't really need to think about it. Our learning zone is when we're slightly uncomfortable, but we're taking on new things. We're open. Our thinking brain is online. We're aware. And our anxiety zone is when we would do something that would completely overwhelm your nervous system, completely overwhelm your ability to cope or to handle things. The way that I used to like to explain this to clients is me getting outside of my comfort zone in the beginning was coming on here on the microphone. That to me was like the perfect amount of uncomfortability, but it wasn't so much that it would terrify me. If you then put me on a stage in front of thousands of people, I would be in my anxiety zone and it wouldn't be constructive. So I want you to just assess for yourself, what is your relationship when you just peek outside of that comfort zone? When you have that window of uncomfortability, not so much that it's completely overwhelming your system, because we don't want to hang out in our anxiety zone. When we're doing that, we're actually traumatizing our system in a way, and we're building a bad relationship with whatever that thing is. When we get outside of our comfort zone, the goal is to build our resilience. It's to show our brain new things, right? It's to expose it to new ways of thinking, of being, of acting, of showing up, of trying something new. And so the thing is, we've all been in situations that have made us feel overwhelmed, that have made us feel stressed, that have made us feel nervous. And this typically happens when we're out of our comfort zone or we've never experienced something before. Again, my question that I would love to pose to you is, are you aware of what your response is when that peak happens, when that flip happens? And knowing that a lot of this happens subconsciously, because when we step into that uncomfortability state, it happens very, very quickly. And again, it's typically when our brain is like, hey, I've never experienced this before. I don't have any kind of connections or stories or history or anything to connect this to. So I'm going to kind of set off an alarm to let you know I don't recognize this, just in case this is potential danger. That's why getting outside of our comfort zone is one of the best things that we can do slowly with 1% exposures, because we're showing our brain that new things are safe. We're building that resiliency within our brain. And so, as always, whenever I do an episode, it's likely because it comes from something. This weekend was the first time in a while that I had been so much so out of my comfort zone, maybe even a little bit dipping into my anxiety zone, but not too much, but definitely out of my comfort zone. So, as I've shared with you guys on here in the last couple of episodes, I took on a basketball coaching role. And within that, we have to get this certain training to be able to be on the bench at provincials. And I was totally okay with doing this training. When I first heard about it, I was like, okay, we're going to be sitting in a classroom. It's kind of going to be like a first aid training. Like, we're just being taught certain things. There probably is going to be an examination at the end. Cool. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Then they sent out the paperwork of what the layout of the training was going to be. And I read on this that one of the sections was going to be in an actual gym, coaching youth going through certain plays. And my whole system just went into an instant state of overdrive and panic. For those of you that don't know, I had a pretty traumatic college basketball experience where there's a part of my brain that still correlates being on the court and being evaluated or being looked at in a way as very much a state of danger. It still very much overwhelms my system, even though logically I know that I'm going to be okay and no one's going to yell at me and it's not the same thing. Because I've had a bad experience with it before, my brain just already correlated it with it's going to be terrible. And as I was reading the email in real time, my partner was with me and I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, this is really, really overwhelming me. Like, I don't know why I'm so triggered. I don't know. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I was just starting to go down this spiral. And so I already knew ahead of time that this was going to be very much outside my comfort zone. Like I said, a little bit into my anxiety zone, but I also knew my mind was making it out to be worse than what it was going to be because I just had previous experience. Now, mind you, you might not always have previous experiences with things, but even if we do, a huge part of this as well is if we've had a negative experience with something, we typically avoid it. We avoid it like the plague. We don't want to have anything that reminds us of that situation. But I want you to know with love that as long as you avoid it, your brain will continue to only have that one narrative. If I didn't push myself to go to this training and show my brain that another reality could exist, that not everybody is like that, my brain would forever just correlate the basketball court and being evaluated as a very negative thing. And so I knew that I had to go. And so the thing is about our comfort zone is it seems nice, right? That's why it's called comfort. When I hear that word, I just think like lying cozy in my bed, like I don't want to move, life's good. Like, oh, why would I want to get up and be cold and be uncomfortable and like whatever. Getting outside of our comfort zone can often feel like that. We don't really like it. But it's almost every single time after we do it and we push ourselves, there's this flood of feel-good feelings. This flood of like, I'm so proud of myself. Now that the weekend is done, I'm like, I'm so grateful that I went and I didn't run away. Because my partner was like, do you want me to go for you? Because both of us are coaching together and only one of us need this certification. And when he said, do you want me to go for you? A part of my brain was like, yeah, please. I was like, no, I need to do this. And although when I was there, I definitely noticed parts of me reverting and turtle shelling up and keeping myself small. I could feel myself when I was getting overwhelmed. I just kept telling myself, it's okay. You're safe. Nothing bad's gonna happen. This is where we learn. We're gonna get through this. And I just kept kind of coaching myself through it and calming myself down. And then I got through it. And guess what? No surprise. I didn't get yelled at. It wasn't traumatizing. It was actually a lot of fun and I learned a lot of things. However, if that situation was in your life and that was something you were dealing with, what would your response be to that? So there's kind of three options, three responses that we can have. We can completely avoid, meaning, hell no, I'm not doing that. You can kind of be 1 foot in, 1 foot out, like, maybe, no, yeah, maybe, no. Or we jump in, we embrace discomfort, and we see what happens. Now, there's going to be factors into all of these, right? What your decision is on what you do is going to be predicated on your relationship with yourself. Me, probably 2 years ago, would have avoided that training. I would have come up with some kind of excuse to get out of it. The difference between Jessie then and Jessie now is I have more self-belief in myself. A lot of other factors, I've healed it more, I've processed it more, I've, built that, but my belief in myself is higher now. And so I have more resiliency, more, capacity to lean into that discomfort. Whereas if you have very, very low belief, leaning into discomfort is actually detrimental in a way because it's going to likely set you further back. If you don't have the tools, like I said, that self-talk that I was doing to calm myself down, if you are not in a place where you have that, you could actually very much, that's typically when we see, panic attacks and spirals and severe anxiety and avoidance. It's because you're just not ready. But we have to begin to ask ourselves, at what point am I doing the things to get myself ready? I knew inevitably coaching, there was going to come times where my trauma was going to be poked. I knew there was times where I was going to get triggered. Even sometimes the girls will joke and they'll say little things in practice and there's a part of me that's like, these are 13-year-old girls, but my brain does not know the difference between those 13-year-old girls and my old coach. That is how much trauma can live in our body. But our comfort zone is no different. It lies in our body. Our relationship to getting outside of that likely comes from an experience you've had in the past. If you're fearful to do something, that fear comes from something. You've either witnessed it as being scary. You've told yourself a story that it's scary. Someone has told you that it's scary or overwhelming. You've painted a picture in your consciousness, in your mind, that thing is going to equal some kind of fear or overwhelm, or else it wouldn't be outside your comfort zone in the first place. So I want you to assess for yourself, is my response to avoid, to kind of go in and out, or to embrace discomfort and lean into it? Again, a large part of this comes from self-belief. The reason that I'm now able to lean into getting outside my comfort zone is because my relationship with myself is better, is healthier, is more stable than it ever has been. And so it makes sense now that I'm able to embrace that discomfort. But if that is just going to completely shut you down and make you feel crummy about yourself, it's not the best place to be. And I would encourage you to work with a mental health professional, to work with somebody who can support you through that, because it can and will get easier. Our brain is designed in that way, right? When we get outside of our comfort zone, new neural pathways are being formed in our mind. Whether we realize that or not, it's making new connections. It's writing a new story. It's writing a new dialogue. But if we just keep reiterating the same story over and over and over again, it doesn't have a chance to form a new connection. Think of things that you know now in your life that are maybe in your comfort zone. Think of a time that maybe it wasn't as easy. I'm going to be giving a keynote speech next month at a youth mental health summit. And if you would have told me, honestly guys, probably even a year ago, that I would be doing that keynote speech, I probably would have said no. I probably would have said yes and pushed myself. Maybe 2 years ago, that would have just been absolutely overwhelming. And even this year, there's a part of me that's like, I don't want to. But I'm like, yeah, you do. Think of something that at one time would have felt impossible. How can you lean into that and show your brain, hey, we've done hard things before. We've gotten through challenging things before. Why is this different? Is it different? Or am I just telling myself a story because being in our comfort zone is easier. That's the part no one talks about, is choosing to get outside of it is the harder thing to do. But it doesn't mean it's not the best thing that we can do. The last thing that I had wrote down that I'm just looking down here at is 2 things. 1, find a way to just push yourself by 1%. If your response to getting outside your comfort zone is to write yourself on like a spectrum, is it like I completely shut down, it overwhelms me, I can't do it, I like physically I can't do it, or is it I just kind of freak out and it's hard and I'm uncomfortable? Rate yourself, figure out where you are, where's the severity, what is it maybe poking for you, what is it bringing up? Identify the fear. Bring that fear into your frontal brain and say, is this rational or irrational? Am I going to thank myself more for pushing through this and showing myself I can do it, or for staying comfortable? Will 10 years down the road version of me like me to do this thing? And if the answer is yes, how can you slowly just implement 1%? Take 1 step, try 1 thing, right? Break it down. If you have a big goal, start small. Break it down. Show your brain just like little ounces of discomfort in a way that's not going to send you into that anxiety zone. And then the last thing that I wrote down is that, again, to my point at the beginning, correlating to last episode, is it will boost your confidence. The more that you get outside your comfort zone and you show your brain, I can do hard things, you're boosting your confidence because you're showing yourself and pushing yourself that you can do things that you never thought you could. That feels really, really good for our mind. The times that I think we feel the most empty and disaligned is because we're not stretching ourselves. We're not growing ourselves. We aren't meant to stay comfortable. We are designed, and we have that resiliency in our brain because it's designed to have that new pathways formed. It's designed to grow. Our brain is like a muscle for a reason. It wants to be challenged, it wants to be pushed, but it is our decision on the outside to do the things, to push it, to encourage it, to try new things, to try hard things, and to grow that resiliency. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. This is a topic that I'm very, very passionate about, especially as someone who I feel my comfort zone used to be my favorite place to live, and I didn't think that I'd ever want to leave it. And now I'm actively seeking opportunities to get outside of it because I know it makes me feel better about myself. I know that it's good for my mind. And I know that I will always thank myself for at least trying. Knowing that failure is a part of the process. Knowing that it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to be, not be an expert at something and to be new. It's okay to be there. In fact, it's good for us to be there. That's how we learn and how we grow. So thank you guys so much as always for tuning into today's episode. If you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean the world to me if you could share this with someone you think would enjoy, if you could leave a review below, rate this show, follow along if you're on YouTube, whatever it is. And I'm so grateful for each and every one of you who take the time every single Tuesday and Thursday and tune in. So thank you guys so much. I look forward to chatting with you all on Thursday. Bye, you guys.